So hello and welcome to your first FurryCon.
Woohoo! How many of you
show
here?
Of hand.
Yes.
Who's first time, is it?
First
Everybody.
timers.
Okay.
Come closer.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
what I'm saying.
You want to sit in the chair?
Cuddle up, sit on the floor, gather about.
Come, children.
Crisscross
I'll tell your
applesauce.
story. Yeah.
Slide in.
Crisscross applesauce. There you go.
All right. So, how many of you are also extremely new to the fandom? Yeah, all right. So you're like, what is this thing even? There's some other things that are going to be going on that's probably good to go to as well. There's something about like, why do you fursuit? That's an interesting one.
I think there's a fursuiting 101 question mark?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a schedule.
And so that might be interesting for those of you that, because look, you do not have to at all, in any way, feel like you don't get to be part of this until you have a fursuit.
Right?
But typically, there are a lot of people that have questions about that. And so that's another great resource to go to, but of course we'll,
I think there may be a fursuit making question mark.
That's fun.
101 question mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing to do is grab a pocket schedule. Oh yeah, we should introduce ourselves.
No, why would these people don't care about us?
All right, so
ladies and gentlemen, your convention chair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll start with me. So I am the chairman this year of IFC. I'm excited to be here for this. I am, so I can tell them what to do. It's the best. So before that, I was director of operations for this convention for a couple years, and before that, I was a volunteer. So did a little leapfrog there. To my left is Jake. He's helped run multiple conventions across multiple fandoms. Yeah, but also around the world too, apparently. I don't know. He does all the things and all the places and all the stuff.
For about 20 years,
That too.
97. So I staff.
Hashtag Grandpa Bun.
Yeah, I've been around a while, so
We're going to need this.
I like to see new people. I've got to see the fandom change a lot over the years and so on and so forth. And I remember when I first went, it was very, at least for me, it was like intimidating because the very first convention I ever went to was the world's largest furry convention, Anthrocon. So that was back in '97, so it was like, a lot. But now, in more contemporary times, we have, you can argue that you're only a few hours away from a furry convention in most places in the United States. So, you guys get to kind of luck out. You kind of get to test the waters a little bit. For me, it was like, fall in, somebody kicked me right in the pool. So, but yeah.
So I'm really mean. My first FurCon was actually MFF, which is
that's number 2.
And then
what year did
that
you
was
go?
2011.
Oh, you're still a noob.
And then I am. And then after that, my second con was IFC. Hi, Crystal.
And we have our resident Christopher. He's a resident fox.
Yeah. So then my second con was IFC 2013, and I worked 36 hours as a volunteer at once. That was great. And then all of my friends that I brought into the fandom, I make them go to MFF first. It's the best.
You're an enabler.
Honestly, I am. But I don't know, I kind of like the shock and awe. Like you get shocked by the everything, and then when you go to the smaller one, you can like know better what you're interested in and what you want to see. That's my theory.
Well, it is hard when you go to like one of the absolute largest cons. Like you don't really get a sense.
You want to see everything and like figure out what everything is.
And there's stuff that I know that panels that I probably would have been into, like comic book panels that I didn't know existed because I was trying to make other panels. It was like way overwhelming. So yeah, that passed the mic to Chucks. No, don't give her. Don't. No.
And I'm Chucks. I'm a charity liaison here. I took over some programming stuff with the folks at GFM in St. Louis. Hey, we've got GFM con-chair over here, hey? Woohoo! Yeah, come to St. Louis. I'll be pitching that all week because, you guys love when I do that, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the great thing about these conventions, I was just saying to Scooby earlier, it's like these are not in competition with each other. You will hear about attendance at one convention, and obviously the fun thing about let's meet them on the charity.
Like
that's
I said,
great.
but that's just okay. I should have said this at opening. I'm a very competitive person, so having a goal for me is great because I can try to get to that goal. And on top of it, we always honestly internally like rib each other like, oh, we got more people than you, but it's not a competition. We just want to, the competition is to put on the best show we can. So,
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Make sure everybody has a good time.
Because it is a great time, and we remember what it was to just show up at these things and have a good time. And we go, hey, here's something we could help with here, and here's something here. And it's amazing, just a little bit of time helping somebody at a convention. I've also, gosh, I spent a lot of time last year at MFF volunteering.
I was just going to say, that's something that a lot of people don't see is the interconnectivity between all the cons. Like, yeah, we might have these challenges and like rib each other and stuff, but we really help each other out too. And there's actually a group that I'm involved with. It's called the Furry Convention Leadership Roundtable, where it's just a group of people that sit and say, okay, I'm having this problem. I need somebody to help me figure this out. And sometimes the whole staff are having the problem. We can't figure it out. We need somebody from an outside source who's maybe dealt with this problem before. And that's one of the great things that I love about being part of furry leadership is that there's so much help and interconnectivity between all of us. I think that's really great.
Well, you guys were talking about your first convention. My first one was also MFF.
Oh, yeah?
And it was in 2007. 2007. I had just been introduced to the fandom, had very little information about what it was. I had no preconceived notions. And it was shortly after that whole CSI thing had come out. So there were a few things out there where people, so the guy that introduced me to the fandom was kind of tiptoeing around it about what it was, thinking that maybe I had some kind of foreknowledge, and I did not. And he'd say, well, I go out to these things that are like, there's a lot of costuming and mascots and stuff like that. Working with, okay, great, that's cool. At some point I saw pictures of where he was, because he was always going to these events. I'm like, oh, okay, you're talking about mascots, but what kind of sports team is that thing a mascot of?
It's really hard to explain like what it is we're actually doing here.
Like, what am I looking at? What is this? What's going on? And so he told me about it. I was like, oh, that's totally cool because anthropomorphics. I grew up watching cartoons. That's totally fun and all that stuff. So I go to this convention, and it was that long hallway con where it was just this one big long hallway, and the rooms were off to the sides from that. And he's meeting all these friends that he's seen and known forever, and I'm just standing there like getting whiplash, looking back and forth. And this Cheshire smile came across my face, and I'm saying, I don't know where I am, but I'm home. I don't know what's going on, but I'm home. I got this, right?
As overwhelming as MFF was for me, like it still felt, like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah. So, and the reason it's called the fandom, I mean, there's certainly fandoms of various kinds, but we're fans of each other, right? You get to have your own characters, you get to have your own personalities and make it up, and like I've gone to Star Trek conventions, and that's fun. But no matter how much I would put on, a uniform of some kind, doesn't matter how many pips I've got, I do not look like Picard. Okay, that's not happening. This is fat with haired Picard. Well, that was a fine kettle of fish.
But I do think that that's a really cool, unique thing about our fandom is that we are fans of each other and supportive of each other. Like, we make our own art, and we make our own characters.
But you can be yourself, even if that self is somebody else.
Yep. I love that.
Well, when I did get a fursuit a few years ago. It took a while, because I had 2007, and then it was a long dry spell. It wasn't until 2013 that I then went to Intercon, and then I think I went to the one after that. And then there was that thing that happened that we won't talk about, that then, got me really attached to Twitter for something that happened at MFF a few years back, but it was like, how are my friends? Is everybody okay? What's going on? And that got me back into the fandom, actually. And so, I mean, just immediately got a fursuit out of that. I also happened to have like a job at that point that paid.
That's super useful.
So, that helps. But I was like, no, I got to do this. I wanted the fursuit. I am not somebody that's going to sew something.
That's just what I was saying. Like, also, just because you want a fursuit doesn't mean you can't have one. I have a partial that I made myself. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. I have sewing knowledge, and I know how to use a hot glue gun. So
that's what's cool too.
Sorry. That's one thing that's really neat. Don't be afraid to make your own stuff. I can see a lot of people make like your partial.
Yeah.
and you come up.
And I just got fabric from Joanne. Like, it's nothing fancy. I
Right.
literally just got what I could afford with coupons. And
Well, what's great is that
did it.
people, when they see your partial, who may also have a partial coach, they're like, oh my gosh, that's really cool paw prints or whatever, and then you'll look at theirs, and there comes like this,
I made my tail.
oh, there you go. And then like, when I did that, I had people come up to me and they're like, oh, that's a really cool tail, like, what did you do to this? And I'm like, well, I tried this, but struggled with this part of the construction, and they go, oh, I went through that, let me tell you the solution on that, and that started this, I built this rapport of friendship with these people who construct different fursuit components or fursuits, and that was I didn't even know that was an avenue I could really, I just built this relationship that's really, really cool. It was a whole new world for me to explore. I thought it was really, really neat. So, but you got to take that first step. Don't be afraid to make something, create. This is a fandom that is very it responds very well to people with creativity or at any level. You know, if you never tried anything. I don't think I'm a very good artist, but I love to draw, to try.
You are a fantastic artist.
Yeah.
But I like to try, you know, but you know, I didn't learn any skills. I didn't know any skills, but it was really cool coming to the fandom and meeting other artists and bouncing ideas, you know, because I'm shy outside of the con. I don't. You know.
But we all have our crafts that we're good
Right.
at, and
And
if
that's
you
what
can
you're
turn
cool.
those crafts into cash, because
Sometimes, yeah.
it trades easier than cheese, right? That's why we use money. So I'm not somebody that was going to figure out sewing it and making it look as good as these things look, but I could figure out how to make money and hand that to somebody that can do a really better job at that, and that's what I was waiting for, and that's what I did. I could have done the other thing, and in that time learned how to do it, and probably made money selling these things, but I did the other thing. So it's options. How do you want to do it? Do you want to do any of that? What do you like? If you got something that you see that you want, that you want to, you know, buy, great. Sometimes artists do exchanges for, you know, hey, I'll draw something for you, you draw something for me, kind of a thing.
But the
There's all
important
sorts
thing
of
is
stuff.
to do what makes you feel comfortable. So if you don't want a fursuit, you don't have to have a fursuit. You don't need a fursuit to be in the fandom.
But we're doing what makes me feel comfortable. Can I have a pillow?
Okay. Like my first couple of conventions, I wore ears and a tail. And if you're just comfortable as a furry dressing up as a human for a weekend, then that's what you do. Like,
Yeah, the fact that I look at my fursuit and go, that's me, should have no bearing on what you do with your experience at the con.
And moving on from that, like, definitely don't be afraid to do stuff for you. Like, this is your convention. You should be doing what you want to do. Figure out what makes you happy and do that. If you spend all day in the video gaming room, then that's what you do. And you make friends that are video game nerds just like you. And it's a great time. And if that's your convention, that's what's important, is that it's your convention and you spend the money to come here and support us.
And
We're here to make sure you have a good time.
And that's this convention, this time. Every convention, every time, every year, everywhere is different in some way, and it's what you bring to it that matters, right? There are things where you hear, oh, somebody did this, somebody did that. It doesn't need to affect you. I mean, you know, you can be, like, you know, if you're in the traffic driving somewhere, you're in the traffic, but you're not of the traffic, right? You know, so you can be in the con or near the drama or whatever, but you're not of the drama.
Well, like
right?
there was one MFF just recently that I went to, and I work registration there, so I worked my registration all weekend. And by the time I was done with the convention, I looked back and I realized I just did registration and went to like rooms and hung out with friends. And I had one of the best conventions I've ever had. I think it was 2 years ago. I was
registration quite a bit. I felt so bad for you that I started standing there directing traffic. Like, poor Nikki,
okay, we'll be back in this
working so hard.
So, like, again, it's what you make of it and doing what makes you happy.
So we should probably talk about, sorry, and I don't want to cut you off, Jake, but I was going to say, we should probably talk about things on the schedule that might be weird that people might not expect.
Well, first
what
I was
is
going
that?
to say,
Maybe
definitely make sure that you pick up a pocket guide that's going to have literally a snapshot, of the schedule in it. We're also going to have a schedule posted up on the wall somewhere out there soon.
And
And then there's IndieFurCon2018.sked.com has the online, and that'll be the most up to date. So if something changes, it'll be changed on Sked.
yes, once this is printed and in your hand, we can't update it.
Right. One cool thing about Sked is that you can mark stuff that you want to go to, and I think you can set reminders on your phone, like so that it'll so that it'll remind you, hey, this panel's coming up. My first con, I took a pocket guide and I highlighted everything I wanted to do, and then like, that's just me, I'm like super organized, so I had to like everything highlighted and made sure that I knew where I was going each moment of the time. Like I just spent an hour figuring that out.
I got little dots on mine.
And now,
right?
yeah, and
So
now like here I'm just like, what's going on? I'm free right now.
I have to go to these
okay.
things. I want to go to these things, and then there's everything else where I'll be running around like a madman.
Right. Yeah. So then after you get your pocket guide, I definitely suggest getting the con book because that has all the descriptions of the panels inside of it. So if you're like, oh, this sounds like a weird title, you can look in the con book and find the description of it. The descriptions are also on Sched right when you click on the panel, so that's... Also in the con book, you'll find a map for the area with different restaurants. In the pocket guide, you'll find a map for the hotel, our space, our con space. We're going to have that blown up too, that you'll be able to find.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, when you go online with it, you can get to more detailed information, not just about what each event is and the details there, but what type of event these things are. So you can see what's specifically a comedy event, what's specifically a charity event, what's specifically...
It's a fursuit event.
Yeah.
It's a dance event.
So little track type of things. They're color-coded, and so you can kind of look at these and say, what do I want to go to, and I'm interested in writing, and here's all the things that are for writing, and I go check that out. But there are some common things that happen at the conventions. Usually every night there's a dance, right? So people, you know, you don't have to be in fursuit. Sometimes these things are listed as fursuit dance, or they're just dance or whatever. It's a dance. It's a party. They crank up the music. They make the lights do flashy things. And it's a good time, yeah. And it's okay, because everybody is just as weird and awkward as all of us are. Or am I grading on a curve?
Is anybody nervous about being here for the first con?
Oh.
It's totally understandable.
Yeah, it's great.
Seriously, I get it.
No worries.
I get it. And I also I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. We were talking about how we all went to like super large cons. I don't want to think you have, some people feel like, well, I don't want to go to a local convention. I want to go to the big ones. And I think that's like a little too much to go to, but there's also meets. A lot of places have local meets. In fact, right behind you is a gentleman named Tora. Or he wasn't. He actually is the head of the Hoosford group, which is the local, like, greater Indianapolis or greater Indiana area. And if you're not from the state, odds are pretty good that wherever you're at, there is a gathering or a chapter of people who like to hang out. Yeah, Laugh is the northern lake area furry friends. And so,
I know Wisconsin.
you know, if you get comfortable going to like Archon, and you're not ready for like the larger ones, or you're ready to move up, don't forget there's also like just the local meets, and usually just bowling, that's a common thing, a picnic or something like that. WikiFur has lists that have, WikiFur is the wiki of the furry fandom basically, and pretty much wherever you're at, you can put the state in, and it will show what events are going in that state. Conventions,
it also has a
meetups.
list of all the conventions like around the world.
Right.
Really cool to look at.
And I think there's Telegram groups that start to pop up on there as well. So, and if you guys use Telegram, that's a really good source too, as well.
And a lot of times you can just like search your state or your area and find a Telegram group of furries.
Oh, that area.
And I'll tell you what's around you.
Right, right. So there's a good community to support. You know, if you're not ready to step up into the larger conventions.
I mean, they're already at the convention.
But it's a little different to go to here than to go. I mean, like it was a completely different experience going to Anthocon than going to another one. I was like, okay, this is a little bit more my speed because there was too much going on for me. So.
All right, so I'm gonna move this along just a little bit because we are at a convention. Oh, that's good. Before I move on to that, does anyone have any questions right now on anything we've talked about? Yeah, right over there.
I saw this book.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
We're blinded by the light.
I'm actually loud enough for no microphone, but in this book, there's descriptions in French. Is that the case? Is it a foreign language?
That's because it's Canada invasion. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're thanking us?
They took some panels that they figured people could just figure out from the descriptions and turn them into French.
That would be atypical of a convention.
That's a good subject.
That is
But
atypical.
themes are a great subject, yes. So in this case, we have the Canadian invasion theme, that due in no small part to the idea that this convention
Bye, guys,
has a
have
chair that they have this role for
Wait, before
3 years.
they go, I do want to say, if you guys have any questions, find a staff member, ask questions. It's what we're here for.
Yeah. So your role is one that you have for 3 years. Is that correct?
It's true.
It's true? Okay. Yeah, so previously, the last 3 years, it had been Pandez, who is Canadian. So it's sort of the whole,
And one con did British invasion. That's kind of where we picked it back off of.
Yeah,
we're like British invasion. What if we did Canadian invasion? That'd be hilarious.
GFM, we've got Furries Down Under. Last year, what was, or this year? Last year. What did we have?
Last year for IFC.
I mean, there was, what was that? What was this year's? Oh, this year's the game thing. What was last year before that?
Last year for IFC was
Well, I guess it
80s.
wasn't last year.
It wasn't
2
the
years.
last. It's totally radical.
But it's,
Before that.
but yeah, I mean, so there's racing
I don't remember.
themes,
It was a
there's-
blur.
And it's really things that just help people from a costuming standpoint to want to do something to appreciate the theme, from the art that happens. You know, it's a different style of art, so it's not like you come and there's the same stuff every year. So it just allows for some creativity because we're all very creative folks, whether it's in our drawings or storytellings or, you know, characters and stuff like that. That's how people get to express themselves and have a little fun. And, oh, what's the theme going to be next year and all this kind of fun stuff. So,
And usually
yeah.
you find that out from closing ceremonies, so definitely go to closing ceremonies. There's lots of information there about what happened throughout the weekend.
So I have a question, because I know
Okay.
some of you have these. Have you seen something on the guide, on the schedule, that you're like, what is that? What even is that? You have?
Yeah.
What have you seen and you're like, what is this even?
I mean, some of it was resolved. I found out that, what is it, the Snurf Wars? Is it Nerf?
Snurf Wars is
Yeah,
a Nerf
thanks for
War
licensing.
thing, yeah.
Due to copyright, it is Snurf Force.
I brought a bunch of guns, but I didn't like Nerf guns.
That's right.
You can't say Nerf
No,
War.
yeah, no, we couldn't say that. We wouldn't want to.
Does anybody else have any questions about the con book or the pocket guide right now? You can answer. No? Pretty straightforward?
What are we not talking about that you would like to hear
I
about?
have more stuff to cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna get
No,
to like
but-
some rules of thumb, some like good to knows. Yeah, pretty much. I still love you. Okay. So one really important rule, it's at the top of everybody's mind and should be, is the 6-2-1 rule.
Yes.
So you want to follow 6 hours, at least 6 hours of sleep a night, minimums, 2 meals and 1 shower a day.
Minimum.
There's a lot going on. You get super involved in everything, and it's very easy to forget. Like even staff, we have trouble remembering to eat.
I know it sounds funny, and
So running everywhere.
it is kind of, you know, kind of makes a chuckle, but seriously, over
Yes.
the years, I've seen people really, you know,
It's
got
always good
themselves
to
into
stop for a
situations.
minute. It's always good to stop for a minute, especially if it's later at night, to go, okay, did I eat 2 meals today? Did
Right.
I take a shower? It sounds silly, but once you get involved in everything, it's really easy to lose track. So just taking a minute to stop and self-assess is always good.
I know that sometimes your friends kind of, you're like, hey, you know, you should go do this, you can do this, you can join us, but sometimes you're like, I haven't eaten yet today. That needs to take precedence.
Exactly.
You know?
It's okay to say no to your friends. They'll still be there.
Yeah.
They'll still be your friends.
Just be like,
afterwards.
hey, I'm gonna go grab some food, I'll be right back. You know, let's plan for a later time. As people are shy to say that, don't be afraid to do that. You're gonna have tons
Your
of fun
health
here.
is more important.
So any more questions so far? So let's go through, we'll make sure we're not like steamrolling through
Right.
this.
Exactly.
They're all like, I don't know what to ask. Yes.
I was just wondering, like, run! Since this is my first FurCon, you know, I knew we were going to have like something like a Snurf War or something like that, but, you know, just like a lot of fun stuff, and I just thought like, you know, like what all else is there? I know there's going to be a video game contest and stuff, and that's just really just a hoop and fun time.
Yeah, so we have a lot of paneling all weekend long.
I'm really
Well,
shy. I'm sorry.
there are 7 rooms at least with.
Something
Well, I'm sorry,
going on.
8 rooms.
Well, let me put it this way.
Maybe 9
It comes down to what do you think is interesting. Like for me,
And
I
you
like.
don't have to commit to a panel either.
Right.
Sorry, I'm steamrolling you, but
No.
you can stick your head in and see if this is like interesting
thing.
you.
Right.
And if not, you can walk away and go to something else. It's not a big deal. You're not going to hurt the panelists' feelings, I promise.
Who has heard of Artemis? No one. One person. Okay, so I came to a furry con first squared. I had never heard of Artemis, but I was like, I heard all these bangs and booms and people cheering and sounds, and I was like, what is going on there? Is there like a war going on? And the room is like flashing and stuff. I'm like, I just see like bright light coming out of like a beam of light coming out of this doorway, and I'm like, what is this?
And then you walk in.
I open the door, and for those of you who don't know, Artemis, which we have here, by the way, is a starship bridge simulator, where you can basically pretend to run a starship. You get a captain and a whole crew. Me, I'm a super nerd, and I used to be an airline pilot, so you know I want to run a crew and lead us to our own doom. Yeah, right? I've never heard of it, though. And I was immediately, I was like, guys, I don't know what this is. For the love of God, fill me in. This seems flippin' awesome. And the staffer and the people who were participating were like, oh my gosh, come here, come on in, try this out. We're gonna throw you on weapons. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't care. You're gonna have fun. And I've never heard it before. It was the convention that opened up to me. I'm hooked. I ended up running it for First Squared, and now I'm running it for reality a couple of times. And it introduced me to a whole new thing that I've never got to experience. And that's what's one of the many great things about cons. So to kind of use that, I was using an example like, sometimes you discover stuff, but on the other hand, I like to draw. I'm not great, shut up. But I use the cons, I look at the drawing panel, I was like, oh cool, maybe I can learn something from this artist, or so on and so forth. So really it comes down to like, what sounds awesome to you, you know?
Dude, why have I never done this Artemis thing? This does sound awesome.
Oh my God. You need to.
Not good enough, damn it.
If you let's do an Artemis join-up group. So just let me know, we'll do one.
I have one now.
We have two.
When I first started going to conventions, like I said, I planned out all of my panels and everything, and then when there was a downtime that I wasn't doing a panel, I'd go to the dealer's den, or I would go to Artist Alley. Like, it's like I said, it's just what you want to do. Feel free to just explore. That's honestly the best thing you can do for your first con is just explore and figure out what you're interested in, and then the next con that you go to, you can dive more into that and yeah, make friends, ask questions.
Who's here with their parents?
Yeah.
Who are parents that are in here?
Yeah.
You guys see there's the parents Q&A panel coming too?
So that's in half an hour. Right?
It's at
Thanks, parents.
it's
My
at
mom
1
took me to my first FurCon.
in
I was the
Indianapolis.
first minor at AmCon ever. So
That's awesome.
my mom was like,
That's a policy.
I had no idea what to tell her about this. I'm like, I don't know what it is. She didn't know what she was getting into. So for the parents, that's awesome. My mom was totally supportive, but she was like, I have no understanding about this.
I brought my mom to AC just a couple years back,
Over there?
and she bought a ton of art.
It's still a goal of mine to bring
This
my
is
mom.
fantastic.
That's awesome.
Like maybe my last year I'll bring my mom. So I do want to jump in real quick and say that we do have a minors meet and greet, and then the parent Q&A is right next door, so you can drop the kids off to meet new friends and hang out. We'll have a chaperone in there, and only minor badges are allowed in there. And the parents can come next door and ask all the questions till your heart's content. I'm going to be in there for that.
And there are some
and that's gonna be
events.
down the hall.
There are some events that go the other direction.
There
Some
are,
things that
yep.
are 18 plus.
So that is a good thing, thank you.
And
I
why?
didn't forget about that. So if you look on the schedule, there are things that are 18 plus. A lot of times it's for language. Sometimes it's because the panelists are drinking on stage. And we just want to be cognizant of what's going on in those panels and the language that can come out and stuff like that. That's really mostly what's happening. Well, not really, but that is what's happening. It's usually like cussing and stuff, so we don't want
there's a
a
fair
5-year-old in there and this guy's like cursing up a storm. We don't want that.
Everybody here has probably heard words before.
I'm sure, but we don't want to be the cause of hearing the word the first time.
I know what words I used.
I don't want a parent coming to me and be like, you taught my kid the F word. No, I didn't.
Boss?
Fuzzy?
Yeah. I think that's it. Like we had a 21 plus panel last night, and that was really because Thursday nights we don't really check badges because we just get everything up and running. But there was alcohol at that panel, so we wanted to check IDs to just cover bases. Like I said, we don't want to affect those impressionable ages. We're really being cognizant of that in these last couple of years. It's kind of been a goal of mine, being con chair, to welcome the younger furs and Like I want to put on an event for all ages and have everybody have fun.
Well, it is a hoot when you see the little ones running around where their head is larger than their body. Last year we had a bunch of little ones in suit running around that were like, they had some paws and they had a head and they were just like in shorts and t-shirt or something. It was just ridiculous.
Okay, so speaking of fursuits, we will cover some fursuit handling with our fantastic demonstrator here. This is Christopher Fox.
Come forth.
How long have you been fursuiting?
Fox.
Speak Fox. So for 8 years.
8 years.
That's 21 million years of Fox years.
So some good things. Do you want to come up front?
Give a round of applause for our fursuiter. Hey.
So
Do you want a mic?
okay, so some good things to know. Obviously, there's going to be a bunch of fursuiters walking around. They have a very limited field of vision, especially if you guys don't have fursuits yourself. I know we had a couple of new fursuiters in here, but
Tell me when you can see me. Shake your head yes when you see us. There we go.
so that's their field of vision. They don't see anything behind them, obviously, and anything to the side.
No, he doesn't see.
And what he sure said. Yeah, and it's very difficult for them. I have this problem all the time because I will stand up. I'm very short, especially with someone his height. And they won't see me. So I personally have to be very cognizant of where I'm moving, and I have to like dart around them. And that's just something that I've learned. So don't be afraid if somebody's like coming at you and they're not moving.
You're not trying to be rude.
Honestly, yeah, you may just have to move around because they can't see you. Another thing to know in that regard is if you're coming up to them, like you want to hug, and they're not going to see you. Yeah,
that's not good.
and that can
We don't.
cause a lot of pain.
Here's the best way to approach on that. You come around to the front and be like, "Hey, Fox, how's it going?" And I'm going to give you another.
Speaking up is good.
Yeah, speak up. There are two things. Old school. There is a unwritten rule for some fursuiters where they don't speak, right? And a lot of people don't know about this. It's not really a rule, but some people really like to stay in character. Is it working? Okay. So, often when you interact with a fursuiter, I like to assume right off the bat that they're not going to speak. But if you want to know, you can be like, "Hey, do you talk, buddy?" And they might say, "Oh." So you go, "Oh, okay, you having a good day?" So, kind of prepare for that because some people who fursuit, that's their way of expressing something they never get to express. And to them, they're a whole different character, and that is going to be the way they express is through their, mannerisms, and they really develop a character through it. That's one of the amazing things about fursuiting. So that's usually a pretty good standard approach.
Now, a lot of...
But the international symbol for I want a hug.
Yes. I say,
And sometimes
there are a
they'll
lot of
approach you
fursuiters that
and
are
hug
very
you at that
friendly
point,
and
right?
they love hugs, and that's totally cool. There are also fursuiters
Just ask if you can have one.
There are also fursuiters who don't like to be touched,
Yes.
and that's okay too. If you're fursuiting and you don't want to be touched, you can absolutely say no to a hug. That's okay.
Keep in mind, before we get to that, when you're doing the hugs and things, keep in mind that these things are very expensive, very difficult to wash, so you should not have food, you should not have drinks when you go to
Also,
hug a
beware of
fursuiter.
makeup. So
Yeah, makeup is a problem.
I know.
Clean hands,
Last I checked.
clean hands,
So,
clean soul.
So for girls, I'll just cover this for a second. Or if you're wearing face makeup, like you don't know, like paint. When you're hugging someone, like when a hug, just like get your head away. It's totally fine. Like that touch of the ear isn't really going to do anything, especially if they have white fur, because it's like you don't want half of a face showing up on a stomach.
Yeah, white fur is very difficult to keep clean.
It is.
Another good thing is like I like to get my picture with I like to do selfie things with fursuiters, so I always like to ask because some people really don't want their picture taken, or they need a certain way
Of the selfie taken, so I always like, "Hey buddy, can I get a picture with you?" And then I say, "Can I get a selfie? Is that okay?" And then they kind of get themselves in the right position because some fursuits have huge wings and props and stuff, and that gives them an opportunity to kind of set up, and then it makes it clear where you can approach. So I'd be like, "Hey, can I get a selfie with you?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
So we're gonna get one actually. We're gonna have one on Twitter.
Where did he ran away? I don't know.
Oh, he's going away. Right, that's actually a good point. Thank you, Christopher. When if you are stopping to take a selfie and there is traffic, try to kind of say, hey, can we go over to the side of the hallway so we're not in anybody's way? We'll take that picture. So, because that is a thing, when one person takes a picture, then everybody else wants to take a picture, next thing you know, you're blocking the hall for everybody.
And that's also, if you're fursuiting or you're a handler, move your fursuiter off to the side or move yourself off to the side. That's also a good rule of thumb for anybody. If you're you're passing by, this happens all the time. You're passing by each other in a hall and you see a friend that you haven't seen in a year. You're like, oh my God, it's you! Don't stop in the middle and catch up. Go off to the side, like, hey, come here for a second, and catch up with each other then. Hold on, we have a question over here.
Oh.
Yeah, what's up?
Whoever runs the Indie FurCon Facebook replied to one of my questions in less than 30 seconds, which is really impressive, sir.
His name is Damien, and he is super proud of his response time. Like, I can't tell you.
I'm going to pass that along to him because
yeah.
that means a lot to us. We try to respond. We try to answer questions.
Like his personal, like.
We want to know how your experience is. Don't be afraid to let us know, positive or negative. Because when you tell us, we all get together, we want to make this a good experience for all of you. We really, really do.
You should feel free to express yourselves at these events. Clap, cheer, sing along, let us know you're having a good time. If you're really shy, you can send us a postcard. That's fine.
I asked 2 questions and I got a reply to both of them in
Well, you got this one even faster, so we're especially proud of that. Hey, the other thing, before we forget, yes, we see another, but when you're going to take pictures, and yes, look, the fursuiters are everywhere, especially when it comes time for the parade and things like that. That's going to be a great time to have your camera out. But try to have it ready to go. Because, here's this pretty person, I want to take a picture, and where's my camera, and oh, hang on, and you got to pose in there. It's really difficult to keep holding this, some cute pose. For a very long time. So you want to, encourage people and yourself to have that camera ready to go when you're going to do that. Get it ready. They're not running away from you. You can prep it, you can get it going, and now I'm going to go ask them about getting the picture, right?
So,
yeah.
So talking about the Fursuit Parade, that's a fantastic event. It's going to be Saturday at 1:30, 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock. It's at 2 o'clock. The Fursuit Parade. I always suggest, just like any other parade, if you go to Disney and you want to see the parade, you want to get seats early. So it's the same thing here. Yeah. Yeah, people
Seats for the parade?
Yeah.
Does anybody here have any questions? Do you know what the parade is? Do you not know what the parade is?
Do you have to have a fursuit?
You guys have heard of parades,
To participate in the parade or watch the parade?
No, to participate.
To be in the parade, you have to have a fursuit. Is the Fursuit Parade.
Does wearing a box for a rug on your shirt?
So we actually had a conversation about this a couple days ago. It is anything that transforms you into your persona. So that does include some sort of facial transition, whether it's a head or makeup. But if it's just like ears and a tail, unfortunately we are gonna, what am I thinking? Decline.
Politely decline.
Yes,
So the minimum is not
turn away.
human face.
Basically, and skin. Poodling is one thing that's been going around the fandom recently, and that's when somebody's just wearing a head and paws, and then like a tank top. It kind of is a little odd looking. We give a little leeway to kids, obviously, because their fursuit heads they're going to want to grow into and such. So kids will allow, but adults, we'd like to see fur everywhere, or one thing that we don't want to say it's just fursuits. You have to have no skin showing, because I actually had made the argument that there is a fawn fursuiter at MFF that I see every year, and I just lose my mind. She is gorgeous, but
It's
she
just
has...
fawn over her?
I fawn over her. But she has the horn, she has the bottom half of the fursuit, and then she does have skin showing, but she is a character. She is transformed into her persona fully.
We have
So yeah, we have questions.
couple questions.
Okay, so
There you go.
okay, so I'm getting a fursuit and I'm very clumsy, and it can my handler come with me because I fall.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Handlers are allowed. It's a fursuiter and one handler. That's also the rules for Headless Lounge. I will just segue into that for a second.
Yeah.
So we do have a Headless lounge that's over in Indianapolis A, because the letters are backwards, always confuses me. Indianapolis A has the Headless lounge. You are allowed the fursuiter and one handler into that room. There's water, there's towels, there's a drying station, no pictures inside.
Yeah, this is and this goes back to even a few years earlier where it was really stringent, where some people, and it's still the case, some people will not reveal who they are inside, and that could be various reasons. Sometimes it's just who they are in their public or professional life and not revealing that. Sometimes it's a matter of who is in that particular fursuit, like who is the character inside the character. Sometimes it could be a different person. But you never take pictures of somebody when they've got their head off. So you never go into, really, you're not going to go into the Headless lounge because you're not fursuiters. You wouldn't do that unless you are, and then you would. Or you're helping a friend. Because sometimes, and you really should keep an eye on your friends who might be fursuiting to make sure they're looking okay. And if they're not, help them to the Headless lounge and get cooled down and get some water. There's fans, there's water, there's things for the fursuiters who get quite warm.
And when we're talking about fursuiters in this instance, we are talking about full fursuiters like Christopher.
Drink water.
Well, everybody should hydrate.
It's very true, but I'm talking Headless Lounge is for full fursuiters that overheat very easily. They are wearing an entire rug on their body. I know, but you're weird. So.
No, he's thermally enhanced.
Okay. So, one thing that you want to just be aware of is when a fursuiter is walking, sometimes very quickly, towards the Headless Lounge, and you want to like say hi or you want to get a picture or something, they may give you this, which means they're hot and they need to cool off. Let them go. You'll see them again. You'll run into them again, especially here where it's so small. You'll run into people multiple times.
Let them onto the elevator first.
Yes. But the important thing is getting them to where they need to go, especially if they're overheating, because that's a safety issue.
Give them the chance to run there, because we hate to have people have to throw their heads down and break the magic kind of thing right there.
I was gonna say, and sometimes again, I don't know if we have any fursuiters in here. I just see one over there. Don't be afraid to go into a corner and lift your head to cool off. Safety is the most important thing. If you're overheating and you need to cool off for a minute, like, you do what you gotta do to be safe. That's what we're most concerned about. The other thing is we have just a couple elevators in this hotel. Let the fursuiters on first. A lot of times they are going up to their room because they need to cool off, they're overheating. Please let them on the elevators first. That's just for fandom courtesy.
Unwritten rule. Yeah. We got 2 people with questions.
Okay. Yeah, he's been waiting for a while.
We got a mic too. Big of us.
Okay, so if we have full fursuit and marching the parade, do we need to like sign up or do we just show up and sit?
You just show up. If you look on the schedule, there is the time for the sign up. That actually, I think that's at 1:30. And then the parade's at 2, yeah. That'll be in this room. But again, look on the schedule. It will tell you where sign up is, and you just got to make sure that you're in suit at that time. And depending on weather, we usually go outside, so that does get very hot. So make sure that you're prepared for that. You're going to do some walking. It's going to be about half an hour. We'll have water ready afterwards. Just be prepared to get very hot.
Saturday. Is that tomorrow? I've lost track of time.
Tomorrow is Saturday.
Saturday, tomorrow, 1:30 for this parade staging. Yes.
1:30 for staging, and then 2 o'clock starts the parade.
And photo.
And then we take the photo afterwards. Yep.
Okay.
Well, weather permitting. If we do it in here, then we take the photo first and then do the parade.
Whether or not, no,
Just stop. I'll stop. Yes, next question.
I think they should be nice tomorrow. Hi, let's see, I'm like, been to 3 furry cons before this, and they are all like situated in the center of like a town or something like that. Like I love Anthrocon because it's right in the heart of Pittsburgh, and you can like go out into the streets and explore stuff. I saw this and I was like, this looks like a good opportunity for me, a trans woman from New York, to explore the place where Mike Pence was born and not die. So, yeah, what are your suggestions for like stuff to do around here other than like the con? Because of course I want to like, I'm
going to pass this to the local. Actually, that is a good thing to cover. Obviously, I run the convention, but I'm not from Indiana.
Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from Chicagoland, and I just, as soon as I started working here, I fell in love, and this has become my baby. So just because you're not from here doesn't mean you can't volunteer and get involved. And
right. To answer the question,
we won't hold it against you.
We have one of the greatest children's museums in the world. It actually has the only live accessible paleontology science lab in the world. Meaning there are paleontologists on site literally taking fossils in, and I'm not a paleontologist, but they're going through the process of...
But I played one on TV.
There you go. But the thing is, it's interactive. They're in the museum, and you can go up and interact and ask questions, and it's awesome. One of the best dinosaur displays. I think the Hot Wheels 50th anniversary is also there right now. If you're a racing fan like I am, we have the Indianapolis Motorsport Museum. That's pretty cool. A lot of really neat cars. You can go around on the actual track at slow speeds. There's also Delara. They build cars right across the street from that. You can see a lot of cool race cars. What else am I missing here?
There's the
the IMA. The Indianapolis Museum of Art is amazing. Thank you. Yes, I go there quite often. In fact, I took her last month, 2 months ago.
What do they have there, Jim?
Last year. So a few months ago, we went to the IMA. The Indianapolis Museum of Art is fantastic. It also has, it's connected to a park. The park is gorgeous. It is part of the family, I forget. There's a pharmaceutical family that later became Pfizer. They have an estate that's early century mansion. Go to the mansion, it's awesome, but the park is gorgeous. The museum is connected right to that. You just go right out there. It's great. So there's quite a few things to do. The museum is about 20 minutes away from here. I work at a different zoo. I'm not promoting that zoo. No, I'm kidding. I work at the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo. The Indianapolis Zoo is also amazing. They're a cool dolphin show.
And there's going to be truth to that no matter what convention you go
Right.
to. There's going to be somewhere, and if you're interested in tacking on extra time and going and enjoying or meeting friends and going and
That's
having
actually
fun.
a really cool thing to do, is if you can make that work, is to go to a con a little early or plan to stay later and visit those things with your friends.
I travel for work, so I
Yes.
usually end up doing that, right? I'll do some sort of a tack on an extra couple days when I can, spread it over a weekend or something, and just go meet some people and hang out.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, so I want to just wrap up any last questions. Floor is open.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh.
On it, squirrel!
Are the dances 18 plus or 21 plus?
I know they're not 21 plus. I believe
They should
they're
not
all
be.
ages. It'll say on the pocket guide if it's 18 plus. If it doesn't, if the panel on the pocket guide does not say 18 plus, then it's all ages.
No, they're not 18 plus. It's
Yeah.
just,
I don't think so.
no,
Yeah,
that's-
they are not 18 plus. Anybody's welcome. There will be flyers up sometime today, I believe, of the list of DJs for the.
Yeah,
oh,
they've been around.
now?
Yeah, they've
Okay.
been distributed.
Yeah, like there's-
and one of the big
There's some
players
things going
is-
on at that time that are 18 plus elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But the
so
But the
there's
dances
something,
are not.
there's something to do,
Yeah.
and then for those that are 18 plus, there's other things to do that fall into that, like, there may be adult themes or content or whatever.
Like
And then there's stuff like the poker tournament, you're gonna have to be 18, because
Yep.
there's
Because
some
of
rules,
gambling laws.
gambling things. The auction, you're certainly welcome to attend the auction. You guys know about the charity auction? Okay, charity auction, it's cool because we're raising money for charity and people bring things and say, hey, I've got this art, or I've
All
got this,
kinds of things.
whatever.
All sorts of different stuff.
There's bizarre things, but you have to be 18 in order to bid. You can look, you can see, you can watch and enjoy the festivities of it, but to bid, you have to be 18.
Yep.
So, yeah, a couple rules we have to follow, right?
I'm going to bounce out here real quick. I'm assisting
buddy.
con ops, but there's one last thing. I'm going to actually go over something Nikki said here. If you're new here, it's a new experience. Sometimes it can be overwhelming and it'd be very hard to approach somebody to ask a question. That's our job as staff. And the warm and fuzzies, they're the pink shirts. If you're nervous or need to talk to somebody, please feel free to come up to us. We've all been through that. It's not new to us. We've all experienced it in our own way. And then we learned how to handle it, and we want to help you, so
But I
please
do
don't be
understand,
afraid.
because I've been told several times
Yep.
that I look like I'm running somewhere and people don't want to bug me. If you feel that's the case and you don't want to bug one of us, that's what the Warm and Fuzzies are for. They're there to help. That's their job when they have that pink shirt on. So you're not bugging them at all.
And you really, none of us should feel like you're bugging us.
But I've
If we are
physically
running,
had people
yeah.
like, oh, I didn't want to stop you because you look busy.
Sure.
I'm not too busy to stop and answer a question, I promise, but I understand that that can look like that when we're running from place to place. But that's what the Warm Fuzzies are there for, is for that. They are there to help you and answer your questions.
I'm sorry, this fox just
I
tried to
know,
put a
'cause he's
microphone in his pocket. Furry
We
in
also
pockets.
have operations, which is just down the hallway here in Patriots. That's where our Lost and Found is. That's where you can go to answer questions. If
Yeah,
you
it's
have
basically
friends coming after hours, we're going to have badge pickup in there.
It's straight out this door.
It's literally
out
straight down that
door,
hallway
it's
and
on
to the right.
So any questions you ever have, just feel free to show up over there. If you find that you want to volunteer and help out, there's people there that will help you get to where you need to go for doing that.
Yep.
And we'd love the
That's
assistance.
pretty much a catch-all. If you can't stop one of us, if you can't find a Warm and Fuzzy, go to us. They'll probably have the answer for you. We also have the door sign in there. They're our security team. They're super friendly. They're mean when they need to be, but they don't look mean, so that's good. And they're there 24 hours. They're there for us if something happens, if you have a problem. Like that's what ops was mine, so I push that all the time. If you have a problem, go to ops. If you can't stop somebody, go to ops. If you lost something, go to ops. You just want to say hi. We like saying hi. We like hugs.
Where do they go?
But sometimes we're busy. Ops. Okay, what other questions do we have in these last, like 5 minutes? Yeah.
What are they called? Indie fur cops?
What?
Sorry, this is a joke.
Any for cops?
There is one thing I did want to mention though. Some cons do hold marriages. And I've
Yes,
seen
we
them
actually
too.
have had a marriage at IFC, what, 2012, question mark?
Is it like a common thing that you do, or is it just like a random? I don't know.
So 2012 was before me, and I have not had a marriage
Okay.
since. I mean, it's just dependent on who's involved and what's going on, and
Yeah.
some people, like I've seen a lot of engagements happen at cons, which is really cool. Yep, there's a bunch. We've had at least one a year at this point.
Well, it's because it's the community. It's the
Exactly.
This is
your
our
friends
family,
and,
right?
Because sometimes, like, okay, so traditionally, like when you engage, you announce it to your family, or you do it at a big dinner or something like that, or like you and your partner get engaged and it's a big deal. A lot of people, this is their family, this is their community, so they'll come and do it here, and this is what's important to them. This is their two loves together. Okay, what other questions? I haven't like looked up. I'm looking down here. Are there any questions out there?
How about you folks in the
Yeah.
hinterlands?
I know
The
there's
comfy
a super
chairs.
cute head.
Just to go back to the parade, my suit, I just have the head and tail, but my character does wear gloves and tights and everything, so is that okay?
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, it's not necessarily a no skin showing. It's as long as there is a very visible full transformation. That's what we're looking for. Because the point of the fursuit parade is to show off all this work that someone has done, or all this money that someone has spent, to show off your persona, to bring that character to life in front of everyone for a short time. Like, yeah, people will go around in those suits around the convention, but it's a great place to see everyone and really show off crafts in one spot.
This is not my final form.
No? You're going to evolve? Okay, what other questions do we have? Nothing? Nobody?
Oh, hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta give them a moment.
Okay.
Gotta let the
I'm
thoughts
just
stop.
ready to answer questions. Like,
Gotta let them think the thoughts.
gotta have a million of them. Probably. He eats a lot of things.
Alright, during the opening ceremony, you guys announced off the winning drinks for the Twitter contest. and I actually created the Maple Mountie, and I read somewhere on the Twitter that you got some kind of reward for that. Where do I collect that, or what do I get?
I think you already know the answer.
Ops.
When in doubt, go to Ops. Legit, like I'm making a joke of it, but I'm serious. If you don't know, go to Ops. Chuck, stop. Okay, who else has a question? Yes, hi. I don't need a mic, he's right there.
People in the back.
I'll take it.
Okay.
When I was signing up, maybe I just misread it or something, but I know that I saw some people like getting like maple syrup and stuff.
Yeah,
that's
and that's true.
I got like the super sponsor, and I thought there was like I know I got the bag and the t-shirt and all that stuff, but I thought there was like a box or something.
You should have gotten syrup. If you got super sponsor, you should have gotten syrup. So you should go back to the table and yell at them.
We should go together because I haven't gotten my stuff yet.
There you go.
We'll do that after this. We'll walk over there.
So that is good. So there are different levels of attending. There's the daily membership. If you're just going one day. If you're going to come 2 days or more, you should get the weekend because it's the same cost. Excuse me. So the attending level just gets you into all the spaces. Sponsor level gets you in all the spaces, and then you get a t-shirt and a sponsor print. And access to the sponsors lounge, which will have not full meals every day, or every meal time, but they will have
sneaky snacks.
Well, I mean, like we'll have some finger foods. That's what I'm thinking. And then the super sponsor level has all of that, plus and they both get priority seating. Super sponsor gets all of that, plus the extra gift, which is maple syrup this year, and the super sponsor brunch on Sunday morning, which is a special meal with the GOHs and the board, and it's a good time, free food.
Are the finger foods made with real fingers?
No, they're fake fingers, faux fingers.
Ooh, faux fingers. Chicken fingers.
And if you have that sponsor or super sponsor level, they should have told you at registration to go to the sponsor concierge table. They're there all weekend. They're also there for you to ask questions. If you don't know where super sponsor brunch is, ask them. They'll tell you. Any questions you have, they're there for your information.
I have a question.
What?
Is concierge French?
I don't know, is it? Maybe? Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Feels like it.
Question.
So do pre-reg also get the t-shirts?
Yeah, as long as you're a sponsor or super sponsor. Attending level does not get the free t-shirt, but we do have extras for sale at the con store. As well as a lot of other swag. Obviously the shirts are super cute. I'm going to get like 5 extra because they're adorable. I love them. I'm going to wear them everywhere.
Everything furry.
Everywhere. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, another question.
I'm comfortable now.
Stop lying down to that. There's another question.
Oh, I was just that comfortable. Where am I going?
I'm just going to take a couple more questions because we are running down. Like I said, the minor panel is after this, so I'm going to be running over there.
Is the con going to have more people tomorrow? Like, okay.
Throughout the day,
Oh,
yeah. Last
day
year,
of a con.
yep, it's true. Last year our total was 1214. It's 1,200. Yeah, there were 12 or 14 people here.
We have at least that many here.
There was 1,214 people, so it gets quite crowded. If you go to the larger conventions, you will notice they're using up a lot more space because there's a lot more people, and it still gets really crowded. So that's why it's important to make sure that you're not stopping in the middle of hallways and you're staying to the sides, because there will be a lot of people moving around, especially in between panels. Just kind of like high school, when you get out of class, the hallway gets filled up, same thing.
Who else had one? So there were a
I think
couple.
I have time for one more question.
One more question?
Make it a good one.
A really good question. You know you've been thinking about it.
You're super cute, by the way. Like I love the kiku and that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you make friends?
You say hi.
Can I be your friend? Awesome.
That's how.
I mean, that's a really good question in general, but
and that is what I was touching on before. Is that's why it's important to figure out what you're interested in, where you want to go, because the people that are interested in the same thing are going to be there.
And I know where they can go for that.
Wait.
We have a panel,
Oh yeah.
right?
I forgot about
Speed
that.
mingle.
Yeah.
It's just
Furry
about
speed
going
mingle.
and finding out what people are interested in
and making new friends.
Yeah, so you can make new friends. So you can try that out. I'm too shy. I won't be there.
But like I said, that is why it's important. If you're interested in tabletop gaming, there's a whole room for that with a bunch of people that are into the same thing.
There's meetups about
there are meetups
various
for different,
interests.
different interests and different species. So if you want to meet other cats, there is Invasion from Cats. I don't remember what day or what time, but I'm going to be there. Because cats.
You can probably blast some things out like on Twitter or wherever, Facebook or anything, saying, hey, I'm interested in this. Who else is at IFC?
Yeah.
And just put the feelers out there and see who pings back. Well, you physically go because you're already there. Yeah.
All right, so that is it. I'm going to be running over to the minor panel, so I hope I'll see some faces there. Great.
All right, we're going to go over to get our sponsor swag, but you know, look
like
for
I
me
said,
later
again,
and let's find out what our interests are in
There you
common.
go. Again, if you have questions, stop a Warm and Fuzzy, stop a staff member. We're happy to help. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your time. Have fun. 621. Remember, 621. 621. 621. At least.
See, I take a shower every time I get out of suit. When I get up, I want to get out of
takes
suit.
like 10 showers. Did you know that? Like 10.
I'm usually about 4 per day. Thanks, Amy.
Silver Gato Man, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gato Man, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gato Man, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.